They thought humanity was just another primitive species to be discarded. The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for millennia, deciding which civilizations deserved to join their ranks and which should be cast into the void. When they first encountered Earth, they saw only a young race plagued by wars, environmental destruction, and internal conflicts. Unworthy, declared High Counselor Vextherin, his crystalline form shimmering with disdain. These humans are too violent, too unpredictable. They fight amongst themselves constantly. They would contaminate our peaceful galaxy. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would be banished to the outer rim, forbidden from ever entering civilized space. Earth's location was classified, their existence erased from galactic records. The Council believed they had solved a problem before it could grow. They were catastrophically wrong. What the Council failed to understand was that humanity's greatest weakness would become their most terrifying strength. Those very conflicts that made humans seem unworthy had forged them into something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that could adapt, survive, and overcome any challenge through sheer determination and ingenuity. The Council thought they were protecting the galaxy from humanity. In reality, they had just given humanity a reason to conquer it. This is the story of how the galaxy's greatest civilization made its final mistake, and how humanity answered their banishment with complete and total domination. The first signs appeared during Earth's third millennium. Strange signals dancing across radio telescopes, patterns too complex to be natural phenomena, too organized to be cosmic background noise. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the observation deck of the Lunar Research Station, watching the data streams cascade across holographic displays. After 3 years of analysis, the conclusion was undeniable. They were not alone. The breakthrough came when humanity's most advanced quantum computers finally decoded a fragment of the transmissions. It wasn't just random alien chatter. It was a comprehensive database of galactic civilizations, trade routes, and political structures spanning thousands of star systems. The galaxy was not empty wilderness waiting to be explored. It was a thriving community of advanced species, and somehow, humanity had been completely excluded from it. Commander Sarah Chun, head of Earth's newly formed Stellar Contact Division, convened an emergency session with world leaders. The massive chamber fell silent as she presented the findings. Representatives from every nation stared at the evidence with a mixture of awe and growing unease. The galaxy contained over 47 distinct spacefaring civilizations, all connected through something called the Galactic Council. Trade flowed between star systems. Scientific knowledge was shared across species. Cultural exchanges occurred regularly. Earth existed in what appeared to be a deliberate void. Look at this trajectory analysis, Dr. Vasquez explained, manipulating the holographic display. Every major shipping route curves around our solar system, not through it, around it. The statistical probability of this being coincidental is less than 1 in 10 billion. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't simply failed to make contact with alien civilizations. They had been purposefully isolated. Their solar system existed within what could only be described as a quarantine zone, carefully avoided by all galactic traffic. President Martinez of the Earth Federation leaned forward, his weathered face grave. "Are you telling us we've been deliberately cut off from galactic civilization?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you," Commander Chen replied. "The question is why?" The answer came 3 months later when humanity finally managed to intercept and decode a current council transmission. The discovery protocol was simple but devastating. Any civilization requesting contact with the Galactic Council underwent a comprehensive evaluation. Their history, social structures, conflicts, and potential were analyzed by a committee of the galaxy's most advanced species. Those deemed worthy were granted membership and access to galactic civilization. Those found lacking were quarantined indefinitely. The evaluation of humanity, conducted in secret over several decades through remote observation, had been unanimously negative. The Council's report was brutal in its assessment. Species designation: Human. Homeworld. Sol 3. Evaluation status. Permanently rejected for council membership. Reasoning. Extreme violent tendencies. Inability to achieve internal unity. Environmental destruction of homeworld. Unpredictable aggressive expansion patterns. Recommendation. Maintain quarantine protocols. Monitor for potential containment breach. Dr. Yasuki Tanaka, Earth's leading xenosociologist, read the report aloud to the assembled leadership. His voice remained steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he continued. The Council has observed humanity for over 200 years. They've watched our wars, our environmental struggles, our conflicts. They've concluded that we represent a fundamental threat to galactic stability. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some delegates demanded immediate action. Others called for diplomatic approaches. A few suggested humanity should prove the Council wrong through peaceful development. But beneath the political posturing, a deeper realization was taking hold. Humanity had been judged and found wanting by civilizations they'd never even known existed. Commander Chen stood, her military bearing commanding instant attention. "The Council hasn't just observed us," she said quietly. "They've actively prevented our expansion. Every deep space probe that should have reached potentially habitable systems has encountered technical failures. Every generation ship project has faced inexplicable setbacks. Our space program hasn't stagnated due to lack of funding or political will. We've been systematically sabotaged. The evidence was overwhelming once they knew what to look for. Mysterious asteroid impacts that had destroyed deep space missions. Cosmic radiation surges that had crippled exploration vessels. Equipment failures that defied all logical explanation. For 2 centuries, humanity's reach toward the stars had been quietly, efficiently curtailed. Dr. Sarah Kim, head of the Global Space Initiative, pulled up historical records. Project Exodus, our first attempt at interstellar colonization, failed when the navigation systems experienced quantum decoherence at the edge of the solar system. Project Horizon's fusion drives shut down simultaneously across 3 different ships. Project Gateway's quantum tunnel experiments collapsed every single time they approached breakthrough parameters. The pattern was clear and horrifying. Every time humanity had stood on the brink of becoming a true spacefaring civilization, something had intervened. Not fate, not bad luck, but deliberate action by advanced alien civilizations who had decided humanity was too dangerous to be allowed among the stars. General Harrison of the Combined Earth Defense Force stood slowly, his scarred face reflecting decades of military service. "So they've been keeping us trapped in our own solar system for 2 centuries, monitoring us like dangerous animals in a zoo. The question isn't whether this is an act of aggression. It is. The question is what we're going to do about it." The debate that followed lasted for weeks. Earth's leadership was divided between those who wanted to attempt diplomatic contact and those who viewed the quarantine as an act of war. Some argued that humanity should work to prove the Council wrong, demonstrating peaceful development until the quarantine was lifted. Others insisted that any civilization capable of such extensive secret intervention couldn't be negotiated with in good faith. The decision came when Earth's deep space monitoring arrays detected something that changed everything. A massive Council fleet had taken position just outside the solar system's edge. Not warships, but something potentially worse: construction vessels equipped with stellar engineering equipment. Analysis of their energy signatures and quantum resonance patterns revealed their purpose. They weren't just maintaining the quarantine anymore. They were preparing to make it permanent. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the Federation's lead astrophysicist, delivered the terrifying news. "Those ships are equipped to construct a quantum barrier around our entire solar system. Once it's in place, nothing will be able to leave or enter. No signals, no matter, no energy. We'll be completely cut off from the universe." The implications were staggering. Not just quarantine, but total isolation. Humanity would be trapped forever in their own solar system while the rest of the galaxy moved forward without them. Generations would live and die never knowing if life existed beyond their cosmic prison. President Martinez made the announcement that would change everything. The Galactic Council has made their intentions clear. They don't just want to keep us isolated. They want to ensure we remain isolated forever. They've observed us for 2 centuries and decided we're not worthy of joining galactic civilization. They've sabotaged our expansion efforts, and now they're moving to make our imprisonment permanent. He paused, looking across the assembled representatives of Earth's nations. But they've made one critical error in their calculations. They've judged humanity based on our conflicts, our divisions, our struggles. They see these as weaknesses that make us unfit for civilization. They don't understand that these very struggles have made us something they've never encountered before. General Harrison stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of military authority. Every war we've fought has taught us something new about survival. Every conflict has forced us to innovate, to adapt, to overcome. Every struggle has made us stronger. The Council sees violence and chaos. They don't see a species that refuses to surrender, that finds a way to win no matter the odds. The vote, when it finally came, was unanimous. If the Council wanted to judge humanity based on their capacity for conflict, humanity would give them exactly what they expected. But they would discover that human warfare had evolved far beyond anything their galactic civilization had ever encountered. Commander Chen outlined a plan that would reshape the galaxy. They want to contain us? Fine. But they're about to learn that trying to cage humanity is the worst strategic mistake any civilization can make. We've been preparing for war our entire species' existence. Every conflict, every innovation, every desperate struggle for survival has been training for this moment. The construction began immediately. Earth's industrial capacity, developed through centuries of environmental challenges and resource limitations, proved remarkably adaptable to military production. Factories that had once struggled to produce enough food for a growing population now churned out weapons and ships with unprecedented efficiency. The same innovative spirit that had kept humanity alive through climate change and resource depletion now focused on a single goal: breaking free from their cosmic prison and showing the galaxy exactly what humanity was capable of when truly motivated. The Council's greatest mistake wasn't underestimating human technology or military capability. Their mistake was believing that humanity's greatest weakness, their tendency toward conflict and division, wasn't actually their greatest strength. Every war had been practice. Every struggle had been preparation. Every conflict had forged them into something the peaceful galaxy had never seen and couldn't comprehend. They were about to receive education in human warfare that would reshape their understanding of what was possible. The transformation of Earth began within hours of the Council's decision. Commander Chun activated Protocol 7, a contingency plan that had been developed in secret by the Combined Defense Force. Every major industrial center on Earth received encrypted instructions that would reshape the planet's entire production capacity within months. Dr. James Wu stood in the newly constructed command center beneath Mount Cheyenne, watching as streams of data flowed across massive displays. The mountain had been hollowed out and converted into the nerve center of humanity's war machine. Production efficiency is up 300%, he reported. We're converting civilian manufacturing to military applications faster than our most optimistic projections. The secret wasn't just Earth's industrial capacity, it was human adaptability. While the Council civilizations had specialized in specific technologies over millennia, humanity had learned to rapidly adapt and innovate out of necessity. The same factories that produce consumer electronics could be retooled to manufacture quantum processors for ship navigation systems. Agricultural facilities could be modified to grow organic computing substrates. Even entertainment complexes were converted to training facilities for the unprecedented military campaign ahead. General Harrison reviewed the personnel reports with growing satisfaction. Recruitment is exceeding expectations across all demographics. We're not just getting volunteers, we're getting entire families signing up for military service. 3 generations enlisting together. The psychology behind it was simple but powerful. Humanity had always defined itself through struggle and conflict. When faced with an external enemy that threatened their very existence, old divisions became irrelevant. National boundaries, ethnic differences, ideological conflicts, everything that the Council had identified as human weaknesses suddenly became sources of strength as diverse populations united around a single purpose. Dr. Kenji Nakamura, head of the Rapid Development Division, presented the technology reports that would change everything. We've achieved breakthrough integration of Council technologies with human engineering principles. Their mistake was leaving so much data unencrypted in their transmissions. We've reverse-engineered quantum tunnel drives, plasma weapon systems, and shield generators. But we haven't just copied them, we've improved them. The key insight came from humanity's unique approach to warfare. Council civilizations had developed weapons and defense systems designed for conflict between similarly advanced, peaceful societies. They had never encountered an enemy that approached warfare with humanity's level of creativity, desperation, and absolute determination to win regardless of cost. Commander Sarah Park, the youngest person ever promoted to admiral in the Earth Defense Force, outlined the strategic philosophy that would guide their campaign. Council military doctrine is based on minimizing casualties and preserving infrastructure. Their weapons are designed to disable rather than destroy. Their tactics prioritize negotiation and peaceful resolution. They fight wars the way we might handle civil disputes. She manipulated the tactical display, showing Council fleet formations and engagement patterns decoded from their own military communications. They've never faced an enemy that views total victory as the only acceptable outcome. Every human military tradition, from ancient warriors to modern special forces, has been built around the concept of fighting to win, not fighting to reach a compromise. The first phase of the plan was elegantly simple. Rather than attempting to break through the quantum barrier being constructed around Earth's solar system, humanity would use the Council's own monitoring systems against them. For 2 centuries, the Council had observed Earth through a network of stealth satellites and quantum sensors positioned throughout the solar system. Those same devices would become the delivery mechanism for humanity's first strike. Dr. Lisa Chun, no relation to the commander, headed the Quantum Warfare Division. We've identified every Council monitoring device in our solar system. 47 stealth satellites, 16 quantum observation posts, and 3 deep space relay stations. Each one represents a direct connection to Council communication networks. The beauty of the plan was its simplicity. Human computer viruses, evolved through decades of cyber warfare and information technology development, would be transmitted through the Council's own monitoring equipment. But these weren't simple malware programs. They were adaptive quantum viruses designed to exploit fundamental differences between human and Council computing architectures. Council computer systems are based on consensus-building algorithms, explained Dr. Michael Torres, Earth's leading expert in xenotechnology. Their programs are designed to reach optimal solutions through collaborative processing. They literally cannot comprehend software designed to actively fight other programs for resources and control. Humanity's approach to computing had been shaped by competition, conflict, and the need to protect systems from hostile actors. Human software was inherently aggressive, designed to compete for resources and defend against attacks. Council software, developed by peaceful civilizations, had no defenses against programs that didn't follow collaborative protocols. The virus upload began on a Tuesday morning, Earth Standard Time. Across 47 monitoring satellites, 16 observation posts, and 3 relay stations, quantum transmissions carrying human-designed malware began infiltrating Council networks. The program spread like wildfire through systems that had never encountered hostile software. Within 6 hours, every Council monitoring device in Earth's solar system had been compromised. Within 12 hours, the virus had spread through quantum communication links to Council facilities across 3-star systems. Within 24 hours, it had reached the primary data networks serving the Council's homeworlds. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Council computer systems began experiencing what their technicians could only describe as aggressive computational behavior. Programs fought each other for processor time. Data networks became battlegrounds where human-designed software conquered and absorbed Council algorithms. Security systems turned against their own users, implementing human-style authorization protocols that locked out Council personnel. Admiral Park watched the real-time damage assessments with cold satisfaction. Their entire computer infrastructure is designed around the assumption that all software will cooperate peacefully. They have no firewalls, no security protocols, no defensive programming whatsoever. It's like they've never heard of computer viruses. The psychological impact on Council leadership was even more devastating than the technical damage. For the first time in their civilization's history, they were facing an enemy that didn't follow any of their understood rules of conflict. The very concept of deliberately destructive software was alien to species that had evolved beyond internal competition. High Counselor Vextherin emergency transmitted to the full Council assembly, his crystalline form flickering with unprecedented distress signals. The humans have somehow weaponized their own computing technology. Our systems are under attack by programs that appear designed specifically to cause maximum damage and disruption. The response from Council species was uniformly confused. Elder Xiphon of the Antari Collective transmitted bewilderment. Weaponized software? How does one weaponize a communication tool? Their programs appear to be actively fighting our programs. This behavior makes no logical sense. Representative Quillox of the Thermal Federation added his own confusion. Our analysis suggests these programs were designed specifically to attack other software systems. Why would any civilization develop such technology? What purpose could it serve? The Council's inability to comprehend human cyber warfare doctrine revealed the fundamental gap between their peaceful, cooperative approach to technology and humanity's competitive, conflict-driven development. They had developed advanced quantum computing through collaboration and shared research. Humanity had developed quantum computing to gain advantages over other humans, creating systems inherently designed to outperform, outcompete, and, if necessary, destroy rival systems. While the Council struggled to understand what had happened to their networks, Earth's military buildup accelerated beyond all projections. The virus attack hadn't just disabled Council monitoring. It had provided unprecedented access to their technical databases. Centuries of accumulated galactic knowledge flowed into human research facilities, where teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock to adapt alien technologies to human military doctrine. Dr. Elizabeth Foster led the Adaptive Technology Initiative, the program responsible for integrating Council science with human engineering. We're not just copying their designs, she explained to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We're improving them using principles they've never considered. Their shields are designed to distribute energy evenly across the protective field. Ours concentrate that same energy into focused beams that can punch through enemy defenses. The weapons systems emerging from human research facilities represented a fundamental evolution in military technology. Council plasma cannons were designed to disable enemy ships through controlled energy discharge. Human versions of the same weapons were modified to cause maximum destruction, incorporating shape charge principles and focus beam technology that could slice through Council ship hulls like paper. Their philosophy is all wrong for warfare, explained General Patricia Morrison, head of the Strategic Weapons Division. They design everything to minimize casualties and preserve infrastructure. They're thinking like police trying to arrest criminals, not soldiers trying to destroy enemies. The difference in approach extended to every aspect of military technology. Council ships were built for long-term exploration and peaceful contact with large crews and extensive life support systems. Human ships, designed from centuries of military theory, prioritize speed, weapons capacity, and strategic flexibility over crew comfort or long-term operations. Captain David Kim, the first human to command a quantum drive warship, reviewed the technical specifications with growing excitement. Our ships are smaller, faster, and hit harder than anything in the Council fleet. They're built like cruise ships. We're building destroyers. The training programs developed for humanity's expanding fleet drew from every military tradition in human history. Ancient tactical principles were combined with modern strategic theory and adapted for three-dimensional space combat. Warriors who had learned their skills in Earth's countless conflicts found themselves perfectly suited for the unprecedented challenge ahead. Master Sergeant Elena Rodriguez, a veteran of the Saharan conflict and the Arctic War, led training exercises for new space marines. Combat is combat, whether you're fighting in a desert or in vacuum. The principles don't change. Identify your enemy, control the tactical situation, and win at any cost. The Council talks about peaceful resolutions and minimizing casualties. We're here to achieve total victory. The final element of humanity's preparation was perhaps the most crucial: psychological conditioning for a type of warfare the galaxy had never seen. While Council militaries were trained for defensive operations and peaceful conflict resolution, human forces were being prepared for offensive campaigns designed to achieve absolute strategic dominance. Dr. Amanda Wright, the military psychologist responsible for combat readiness, outlined the key differences to assembled unit commanders. Council species fight to defend their territory and maintain stability. We're training to conquer, occupy, and control. When this conflict begins, we won't be fighting to survive. We'll be fighting to win completely. The transformation was complete within 18 months. Earth had become something unprecedented in galactic history, an entire planet converted to a military machine designed for conquest rather than defense. Every human alive was either directly involved in the war effort or supporting someone who was. The same unity that the Council had identified as humanity's weakness had become their greatest strategic advantage. As the quantum barrier around Earth's solar system neared completion, Commander Chun reviewed the final preparations from her command post. Humanity had evolved beyond the Council's understanding in less than 2 years, transforming from a quarantined curiosity into the most dangerous military force the galaxy had ever encountered. They were about to discover what happened when humanity answered banishment with war. The quantum barrier reached completion on a cold morning in March, exactly 26 months after humanity had first discovered their isolation. Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of the Earth Defense Command, watching the final energy readings stabilize across her displays. The Council's construction fleet had just activated the most sophisticated containment field in galactic history, designed to trap humanity forever within their own solar system. They had succeeded perfectly. The barrier was impenetrable, blocking all matter and energy from crossing between Earth's solar system and the rest of the galaxy. No conventional technology could breach it. No known weapon could destroy it. Even quantum tunneling was impossible through its multidimensional structure. Admiral Chun smiled coldly as she reviewed the final technical specifications. Analysis complete. The barrier is exactly as designed, impregnable to every known form of technology and energy in the galactic database. Dr. Angela Morrison, head of the Breakthrough Physics Division, joined her at the command console. Good thing we're not using known technology then. The key to humanity's escape lay not in alien science, but in a uniquely human approach to problem-solving that the Council had never encountered. While galactic civilizations developed technology through careful, methodical research over centuries, humanity had learned to innovate through desperation, creating breakthrough solutions under impossible pressure. "Show me Project Prometheus," Admiral Chen commanded. The holographic display shifted to show a device that looked like nothing in the Galactic technical database. It wasn't built according to Council engineering principles or alien design philosophy. It was pure human innovation, a quantum resonance amplifier that used the barrier's own energy against itself. Dr. Morrison explained the theory with barely contained excitement. The barrier works by creating quantum interference patterns that prevent matter and energy from crossing the dimensional boundary. But interference patterns can be disrupted if you know the exact frequencies involved. Which we do, added Dr. James Liu, head of quantum engineering, because we've been monitoring their construction for 2 years. Every adjustment they made, every calibration they performed, we recorded it all. We know exactly how their barrier operates down to the quantum level. The breakthrough had come from humanity's long experience with electronic warfare and signal jamming. Military engineers who had spent decades developing ways to disrupt enemy communications and radar systems applied the same principles to quantum mechanics. The result was a weapon that didn't attack the barrier directly. It convinced the barrier to attack itself. Captain Sarah Kim, commander of the first human deep space fleet, reviewed the tactical specifications with professional admiration. It's elegant. We feed the barrier a signal that makes it think another barrier is trying to occupy the same space. The quantum interference protocols that maintain its stability will automatically shut it down to prevent a catastrophic resonance cascade. The psychological warfare aspect was equally important. The Council expected humanity to attempt brute force solutions, trying to blast through or tunnel under their containment field. They had never encountered an enemy that would study their technology so thoroughly that they could turn it into a weapon against itself. Admiral Chun activated the fleet-wide communication system, addressing the assembled forces that would spearhead humanity's breakout. Today we discover what happens when you try to cage a species that has spent its entire existence learning how to break free from impossible situations. The Council built this barrier to keep us contained. They're about to learn that the only thing more dangerous than humanity trapped is humanity motivated. The attack began at exactly noon, Earth Standard Time. 12 human ships, each equipped with quantum resonance amplifiers, moved into position around the barrier's control nodes. Unlike the Council's massive construction vessels, human ships were small, fast, and designed for precision operations under combat conditions. The first resonance pulse hit the barrier at its primary stabilization node. Within seconds, quantum interference patterns began cascading throughout the entire structure. The barrier's own defensive protocols, designed to prevent external tampering, started fighting against signals that appeared to be coming from inside the system itself. Captain Martinez, commanding the Breakthrough Squadron, watched his sensors with intense satisfaction. Quantum coherence is destabilizing across all frequencies. The barrier is interpreting our signals as evidence of a structural failure. Estimated time to complete collapse? Admiral Chun asked from the command center. 17 minutes for total barrier failure. The Council's own safety protocols are doing most of our work for us. The Council fleet positioned outside the barrier reacted with confusion and growing alarm as their sensors detected the impossible. The containment field they had spent months constructing was destroying itself, following shutdown procedures that should have been impossible to trigger from inside the quarantine zone. High Counselor Vextherin transmitted emergency commands to the construction fleet. Explain the current status of the containment barrier. Our instruments indicate systemic failure across all operational parameters. Fleet Commander Xylex responded with barely controlled panic. The barrier is experiencing quantum resonance cascade failure. Internal safety protocols are initiating emergency shutdown procedures. We cannot override them. Emergency shutdown procedures cannot be activated from within the containment zone, Vextherin replied. The humans have no access to our control systems. Nevertheless, the barrier is shutting down. Estimated time to complete failure is 14 minutes. The Council's inability to comprehend what was happening revealed the fundamental difference between their approach to technology and humanity's approach to warfare. They viewed their containment barrier as a sophisticated piece of engineering, something to be operated and maintained according to specific protocols. Humanity viewed it as an enemy system to be defeated through any means necessary. Dr. Morrison monitored the quantum cascade from Earth's command center, watching centuries of Council technology turn against itself. They designed their systems to be safe and predictable. They've built in automatic shutdown procedures to prevent catastrophic failures. They never considered that an enemy might use those safety features as weapons. The barrier collapsed exactly 16 minutes and 37 seconds after the first resonance pulse. Quantum fields that had contained an entire solar system simply vanished, their energy dissipating harmlessly into space according to Council safety protocols. For the first time in over 2 years, Earth's solar system was connected to the rest of the galaxy. Admiral Chen didn't waste time celebrating. All ships initiate Operation Breakout. Primary objectives are Council monitoring stations in the Proxima and Alpha Centauri systems. Secondary objectives are any Council military assets within 15 light-years of Earth. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. We are not taking prisoners. The human fleet that burst from Earth's solar system was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 12 ships, each no larger than a Council transport vessel, but equipped with weapons technology that represented the deadly fusion of alien science and human military doctrine. The first engagement occurred at the Council monitoring station in the Proxima Centauri system. The facility was a massive orbital platform designed to observe and analyze civilizations throughout the local galactic region. It was protected by defensive shields and automated weapon systems, but these had been designed to deter raiders and pirates, not a coordinated military assault by a species the Council had underestimated. Captain Lisa Park commanded the lead assault ship, her sensors locked onto the station's defensive grid. Tactical analysis complete. Their shields are designed to absorb and redistribute energy from conventional weapons. They've never encountered focused plasma beams or quantum torpedoes. The attack lasted exactly 4 minutes. Human weapons, modified according to centuries of military theory, punched through Council shields like they were made of paper. The monitoring station's defensive systems, programmed to respond to known galactic weapons, had no protocols for dealing with technology designed specifically to destroy rather than disable. Station shields are down. Hull breaches detected across 17 sections. They're requesting surrender terms, reported Lieutenant Commander Torres from the weapons console. Surrender terms are simple, Captain Park replied. Complete data download of all surveillance records related to humanity. Then, evacuation of all personnel. Anyone remaining on the station in 30 minutes will be considered a combatant. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Council personnel, members of peaceful civilizations who had never experienced actual warfare, found themselves facing an enemy that offered quarter but demanded unconditional surrender. The monitoring station's commander transmitted frantic requests for guidance to Council headquarters, but help was days away, even at maximum quantum tunnel velocity. The pattern repeated across every Council facility within range of Earth. Monitoring stations, communication relays, and research outposts that had operated in complete security for centuries suddenly faced assault by forces that fought with a level of intensity and tactical sophistication they had never encountered. Captain David Chun, no relation to the Admiral, led the assault in the Alpha Centauri communication hub. Their tactical response is completely predictable, he reported. They're trying to negotiate while their defenses are being destroyed. They literally cannot comprehend an enemy that attacks without first attempting diplomatic contact. The Council's military doctrine was based on hundreds of years of peaceful conflict resolution between civilized species. Their weapons were designed to disable enemy ships so diplomats could negotiate settlements. Their tactics prioritized protecting civilians and preserving infrastructure. They had never faced an enemy that viewed total military victory as the primary objective. Human tactics, evolved through millennia of warfare between competing human factions, were based on the opposite philosophy. Every engagement was designed to achieve maximum strategic advantage through the complete destruction of enemy capability to resist. Negotiations could occur after surrender, not during combat. Admiral Chun monitored the coordinated assault for the Earth Command Center, watching as human forces achieved total tactical superiority across every engagement. Fleet Status Report. All primary objectives secured within 6 hours. Council monitoring network in local region completely destroyed. Secondary objectives proceeding ahead of schedule. No human casualties reported. The speed and completeness of humanity's initial victories sent shockwaves throughout the Council. Species that had known peace for centuries suddenly faced reports of military defeats on a scale they had difficulty comprehending. The humans hadn't just escaped their quarantine. They had systematically destroyed every Council installation within reach and done it without suffering a single loss. Elder Quickson of the Antari Collective transmitted his bewilderment to the emergency Council session. How was it possible for 12 small ships to defeat heavily defended installations designed to withstand attack by any known military force? High Counselor Vextherin reviewed the tactical reports with growing unease. The humans appear to have developed weapons and tactics that our defensive systems cannot counter. Their approach to warfare appears fundamentally different from any documented galactic military doctrine. The truth was more disturbing than the Council could imagine. Humanity hadn't just developed different weapons. They had developed an entirely different philosophy of conflict. While galactic civilizations fought to maintain stability and resolve disputes, humanity fought to win completely and permanently. Representative Thyron of the Crystal Hegemony added his own analysis. These attacks were not random acts of aggression. They were coordinated military operations designed to achieve specific strategic objectives. The humans targeted our intelligence-gathering capabilities first, cutting off our ability to monitor their activities. More disturbing, added Fleet Commander Xylex, is their apparent indifference to civilian casualties and infrastructure preservation. They offered evacuation opportunities, but any personnel remaining were treated as combatants. This approach to warfare is completely alien to galactic military tradition. The Council faced a problem they had never encountered in their millennia of civilization. They had created an enemy that didn't share their values, didn't follow their military traditions, and had proven capable of defeating their technology through tactics they couldn't understand or predict. Dr. Morrison summarized the strategic situation from Earth perspective during the post-operation briefing. We've achieved total intelligence superiority in the local region. Council forces have no remaining capability to monitor our activities or movements. Their response will be delayed and based on incomplete information. Admiral Chun reviewed the tactical data with cold satisfaction. Phase 1 is complete. The Council now knows that humanity cannot be contained and cannot be defeated using conventional galactic military doctrine. Phase 2 begins immediately. We're going to show them what total warfare looks like when conducted by a species that has spent its entire existence learning how to win. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's banishment had created something unprecedented in galactic history, a civilization that combined advanced technology with an absolute commitment to victory through any means necessary. The Council's greatest mistake was about to become their greatest nightmare. 6 months after breaking free from their quarantine, humanity controlled 17 star systems and had established a foothold in 4 galactic trade routes. The Council's attempt to contain humanity had backfired catastrophically, creating exactly the expansionist threat they had feared while simultaneously eliminating their ability to monitor or predict human activities. Admiral Chun stood in the command center of New Olympus, humanity's first major military base constructed outside the Sol system. The facility orbited a mineral-rich world in what had previously been neutral space, now serving as the headquarters for the most aggressive expansion campaign in galactic history. Strategic analysis shows we're ahead of all projections, reported General Harrison, now commanding the Galactic Operations Division. Council response times are insufficient to counter our expansion rate. By the time they mobilize forces to retake a system, we've already moved on to 3 new targets. The key to humanity's success was their approach to expansion. While Council civilizations grew slowly and methodically, establishing elaborate diplomatic protocols before colonizing new regions, humanity moved with military precision and speed that galactic civilization couldn't match. Colonel Sarah Kim, recently promoted from her previous naval command, outlined the tactical doctrine that had made their expansion unstoppable. We're not trying to establish permanent colonies or build peaceful trading relationships. We're conducting military conquest with the goal of controlling strategic resources and position. Every system we take makes us stronger and makes the Council's position more difficult. Human expansion followed principles developed through centuries of military strategy on Earth. Rather than attempting to hold and develop every conquered territory, they focused on controlling key strategic points, major trade routes, resource-rich systems, and communication hubs that allowed them to project power throughout the galaxy. The psychological impact on Council leadership was devastating. Species accustomed to centuries of predictable, peaceful expansion suddenly faced an enemy that could conquer multiple star systems in the time it took them to convene a diplomatic meeting. High Counselor Vextherin reviewed the latest territorial reports with growing alarm. Human forces have seized control of the Kepler Transit Nexus, the primary shipping route between the core worlds and the frontier territories. This represents the loss of 40% of interstellar commerce in the region. Elder Xiphon transmitted his confusion from the Antari homeworld. How is it possible for a species to expand so rapidly? Our intelligence suggests they've established military control over 17 systems in less than half a year. Traditional galactic expansion occurs over decades, even centuries. The answer lay in humanity's unique approach to conquest. They weren't trying to establish peaceful colonies or integrate alien populations into human society. They were conducting pure military expansion designed to control strategic resources and deny those resources to the Council. Dr. Elizabeth Foster, now heading the Xenocultural Analysis Division, explained the strategic philosophy to Admiral Chun during their weekly briefing. Council expansion is based on the assumption that conquered territories must be fully integrated into the conquering civilization. They spend decades establishing diplomatic relationships, cultural exchanges, and economic integration before considering a region truly under their control. We're not trying to integrate anything, Admiral Chen replied. We're establishing military control over strategic positions and resources. We don't need the local populations to like us or become human. We just need them to follow orders and not interfere with our operations. This fundamental difference in expansion philosophy gave humanity an enormous strategic advantage. While Council forces spent months negotiating with local populations and establishing civil administrations, human forces simply seized control of key facilities and moved on to the next target. The first major fleet engagement occurred in the Vega system, where the Council finally managed to assemble a response force large enough to challenge human expansion. Fleet Commander Xylex commanded 37 Council ships, representing the largest military force assembled in over 2 centuries of galactic peace. Captain David Park, commanding the Human Task Force, faced the Council fleet with just 8 ships. The numerical disadvantage would have been decisive under normal circumstances, but human military doctrine had never been based on fair fights or numerical equality. Enemy fleet detected at maximum sensor range, reported Lieutenant Torres from the tactical station. 37 ships in standard Council formation. They're broadcasting requests for negotiation. Standard response to negotiation requests. Captain Park asked, No response while enemy forces remain in combat-ready formation. Torres replied, quoting human military protocol. We don't negotiate with armed enemies. The battle that followed revolutionized galactic understanding of space warfare. Council ships, designed for defensive operations and prolonged engagements, found themselves facing an enemy that attacked with unprecedented aggression and tactical coordination. Human ships used their superior speed and maneuverability to avoid direct confrontation with a larger Council fleet, instead focusing their attacks on key support vessels and command ships. Within the first hour, they had destroyed the fleet's primary communications hub and 2 supply vessels, throwing the Council formation into disarray. Fleet Commander Xylex transmitted increasingly desperate requests for human forces to follow established galactic protocols for space combat. This attack pattern violates all accepted conventions for military engagement between civilized species. We demand immediate cessation of hostilities and commencement of formal negotiations. Captain Park's response was typically human. Surrender your entire fleet, and we'll discuss terms. Continue fighting, and we'll destroy you ship by ship. Those are your options. The Council's inability to adapt their tactics to human warfare doctrine proved decisive. Their ships were designed for prolonged battles between equally matched forces, not the rapid, overwhelming assaults that humanity had perfected through centuries of competitive warfare. Human weapons systems, modified to focus maximum energy into concentrated attacks, proved capable of destroying Council ships in single coordinated strikes. The alien vessel's defensive shields, designed to absorb and redistribute energy over time, simply couldn't handle the focused intensity of human assault tactics. The battle ended after 4 hours with the complete destruction of the Council fleet. 8 human ships had defeated 37 alien vessels without losing a single ship. The strategic implications sent shockwaves throughout galactic civilization. Dr. Angela Morrison, monitoring the engagement from New Olympus, transmitted her analysis to Admiral Chen. Their tactical doctrine is completely unsuited for warfare against human military principles. They're trying to fight a civilized war against an enemy that views total victory as the only acceptable outcome. The psychological impact of the Vega engagement was immediate and far-reaching. Council species that had never experienced military defeat suddenly faced the reality that their entire understanding of warfare might be inadequate against human aggression. Representative Quilox of the Thermal Federation transmitted his assessment to the Emergency Council session. The humans have demonstrated military capabilities that exceed our projections by several orders of magnitude. Their weapons technology, tactical doctrine, and strategic planning appear to be based on principles we do not understand. High Counselor Vextherin reviewed the battle recordings with growing unease. Analysis suggests the humans view warfare as a zero-sum conflict where total destruction of enemy forces is the primary objective. This approach to combat is completely alien to galactic military tradition. The truth was worse than the Council imagined. Humanity didn't just view warfare differently. They had evolved an entirely different relationship with conflict itself. While galactic civilizations treated war as an unfortunate necessity to be resolved as quickly and painlessly as possible, humanity had developed warfare as a tool for achieving strategic dominance. General Patricia Morrison, commanding the expansion of human forces into the Galactic Core region, outlined the strategic situation during the commander's briefing. Council response to our expansion is constrained by their own political structure. Every major military action requires unanimous consent from 47 different species. We can conquer 3 systems in the time it takes them to agree on a response plan. The bureaucratic nature of Council decision-making, designed to ensure peaceful cooperation between diverse species, proved to be a fatal weakness when facing an enemy that moved with military precision and speed. Human expansion continued to accelerate while Council forces struggled to coordinate an effective response. Admiral Chun reviewed the strategic position with cold satisfaction. Current territorial control includes 43 systems, 8 major trade routes, and 15 strategic resource sites. Council military response capabilities have been reduced by approximately 60% through targeted destruction of their fleet assets. The expansion had gone beyond even humanity's most optimistic projections. The same rapid adaptability that had allowed humans to thrive on Earth despite environmental challenges now allowed them to exploit galactic civilization's weaknesses with devastating efficiency. Dr. James Liu, heading the Advanced Technology Integration Division, reported on the technological advantages humanity had gained through their conquests. We've acquired quantum manufacturing technology, advanced materials science, and energy generation systems that exceed our Earth-based capabilities by orders of magnitude. Each conquered system provides new technological resources that make our next conquest easier. The snowball effect was exactly what the Council had feared when they first decided to quarantine humanity. Each human victory provided them with resources and technology that made subsequent victories easier to achieve. The same expansionist tendencies that had seemed so dangerous now proved unstoppable when combined with superior military doctrine. Captain Lisa Rodriguez, commanding the assault on the Council's primary shipyard facility in the Perseus Arm, transmitted her mission report with professional satisfaction. Objective secured with minimal resistance. Council defense forces evacuated without engaging. We've captured intact manufacturing facilities capable of producing quantum drive systems and plasma weapon arrays. The psychological warfare aspect had become as important as the military campaign itself. Council forces, faced with repeated defeats and the complete destruction of their defensive infrastructure, increasingly chose evacuation over resistance. The reputation of human military capabilities was spreading faster than human ships could travel. Elder Thyrix of the Crystal Hegemony transmitted his assessment to the increasingly desperate Council leadership. Human expansion has reached the point where military resistance may be impossible. Their forces control critical supply lines, communication networks, and manufacturing facilities. Even if we could defeat them in battle, we lack the infrastructure to support a sustained military campaign. The strategic situation had shifted decisively in humanity's favor. They controlled enough galactic territory to be self-sustaining, while the Council found themselves increasingly cut off from the resources and infrastructure that had supported their civilization for millennia. Admiral Chun made the announcement that would reshape galactic civilization during a broadcast transmitted to every inhabited system under human control. Phase 2 of our expansion is complete. We have established human control over all critical strategic resources in the local galactic region. Phase 3 begins immediately. Dr. Morrison reviewed the tactical projections with anticipation. Phase 3 objectives: total conquest of Council space. We're not just defending ourselves anymore. We're eliminating the threat permanently. The Council made the mistake of treating humanity like a manageable problem. They're about to discover what happens when you underestimate a species that considers total victory the only acceptable outcome. The galaxy was about to experience something unprecedented in its history: the complete military conquest of an advanced galactic civilization by a species they had dismissed as too primitive and violent to deserve membership in their community. Humanity's answer to banishment was approaching its final, devastating conclusion. 2 years after Phase 3 began, Admiral Chun stood on the observation deck of Terra Prime, humanity's new capital ship orbiting the former Council homeworld. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, she could see the massive orbital installations that had once served as the seat of galactic government. Now, they flew human flags and served human strategic interests. The conquest had been swift and decisive. The Council's remaining fleet, what little survived the systematic destruction of their shipyards and supply lines, made their final stand at Vextheral Prime, the crystalline homeworld of High Counselor Vextherin. The battle lasted 18 hours and ended with the complete surrender of all remaining Council military forces. General Harrison joined Admiral Chun at the viewport, his scarred face reflecting satisfaction at the completion of their unprecedented campaign. Final casualty reports are in. Total human losses across the entire war: 317 personnel. Council casualties. He paused, checking his datapad. They stopped counting after the first million. The disparity wasn't just due to superior human technology or tactics. It reflected fundamental differences in how the two civilizations approach conflict. Council species, evolved from peaceful societies, simply couldn't adapt to the intensity and ruthlessness of human warfare. Dr. Elizabeth Foster, now serving as Administrator of Galactic Affairs, reviewed the integration reports from her command center aboard Terra Prime. Resistance to human authority has effectively ceased across all former Council territories. The transition to human administration is proceeding faster than projected. The speed of the transition surprised even human planners. They had expected years of guerrilla warfare and insurgent activity from displaced Council populations. Instead, they found species that seemed almost relieved to have the uncertainty of war replaced by the stability of human rule, even if that rule was imposed through conquest. Dr. Angela Morrison, heading the Cultural Analysis Division, explained the psychological dynamics during her briefing to senior staff. Council species spent millennia in a political system based on consensus building and collaborative decision-making. When that system failed to protect them from human expansion, many populations experienced something close to civilizational collapse. They're actually more stable under human authority than they were during the chaos of the war. The irony was profound. The same species that had judged humanity too violent and unpredictable to join galactic civilization now found themselves dependent on human military strength for protection and stability. The qualities that had made humans seem dangerous now made them effective rulers of a galaxy that had forgotten how to defend itself. Captain Sarah Kim, recently promoted to Admiral and commanding the new Galactic Patrol Force, outlined the administrative challenges during the weekly command briefing. We're governing 47 different species across 632 inhabited systems. Earth's population is less than 8 billion. We literally don't have enough humans to administer this territory using traditional occupation models. The solution came from humanity's long experience with managing diversity and conflict on Earth. Rather than attempting direct administration of every conquered system, human forces focused on controlling strategic infrastructure while allowing local populations significant autonomy in their internal affairs. Commander David Chun, no relation to the Admiral, headed the new Department of Species Relations. Our administrative model is working better than expected. We control military forces, interstellar communication, and resource distribution. Local species handle their own civil administration, education, and cultural affairs. As long as they follow human strategic directives, they maintain significant independence. The approach proved remarkably effective. Council species, accustomed to detailed oversight and micromanagement by their former government, found human rule surprisingly hands-off in matters that didn't affect strategic interests. They could maintain their own customs, languages, and social structures as long as they didn't interfere with human military or economic objectives. High Counselor Vextherin, now serving as a liaison between human administration and former Council populations, transmitted his assessment from his quarters aboard Terra Prime. His crystalline form had dimmed significantly since his capture, reflecting the stress of civilizational defeat. Human governance is efficient, he admitted during his daily interview with Dr. Foster. Your species achieves, through direct action, what our Council required months of deliberation to accomplish. The transition has been less disruptive than our worst projections suggested. You seem surprised, Dr. Foster observed. We expected brutal oppression, forced cultural assimilation, systematic exploitation. Instead, we find ourselves with greater individual freedom than we possessed under Council authority. even though we no longer have political independence. The observation highlighted another unexpected aspect of human conquest. While the Council had been democratic in theory, in practice their consensus-based system had created a bureaucracy that controlled almost every aspect of daily life for member species. Human rule, focused primarily on strategic concerns, actually interfered less with the personal lives of galactic populations. Dr. Morrison presented her analysis of the broader implications to Admiral Chun during their private briefing. We've accidentally created a more efficient and less intrusive government than the system we replaced. Council species report higher satisfaction with their local autonomy under human rule than they had under Council oversight. Accidentally? Admiral Chun asked with amusement. Completely accidentally. We designed our administration to be militarily efficient, not to improve quality of life for conquered populations. It just happened that our approach to governance was less controlling than what they were used to. The economic transformation of galactic civilization proved equally dramatic. The Council's elaborate bureaucratic trading system, designed to ensure fair distribution of resources across all member species, had created massive inefficiencies and regulatory bottlenecks. Human administration, focused on rapid resource allocation to support military objectives, eliminated most of these barriers. Commander Lisa Park, heading the new Galactic Commerce Division, reported unprecedented economic growth across all human-controlled territories. Trade volumes are up 400% across major shipping routes. Manufacturing output has increased by 300% in former Council industrial systems. Economic productivity is reaching levels not seen since before Council centralization began. The efficiency gains came from applying human business principles to galactic resource management. While the Council had prioritized equality and consensus in resource distribution, humanity prioritized efficiency and results. Species that could produce valuable goods and services thrived under the new system, while those that had relied on Council subsidies were forced to develop genuine economic productivity. Elder Xiphon of the Antari Collective, now serving as an economic advisor to human administration, transmitted his observations with something approaching enthusiasm. Human economic policy rewards innovation and productivity while punishing inefficiency. This approach was alien to Council thinking, but the results are undeniable. Our manufacturing output has doubled since the transition to human authority. The technological advancement accelerated beyond all projections as human research methods combined with galactic science. Dr. James Liu, directing the Integrated Technology Development Program, reported breakthroughs that were reshaping both human and alien capabilities. We've achieved fusion of human adaptive engineering with Council theoretical science, he explained to the senior staff. The result is technological advancement proceeding at rates neither civilization could have achieved independently. We're developing capabilities that exceed the sum of our individual knowledge bases. The technological revolution extended beyond military applications. Human medical techniques, combined with alien biotechnology, created treatments for diseases that had plagued galactic civilization for centuries. Earth's environmental management experience, hard-won through climate change and resource crises, solved ecological problems that Council species had considered unsolvable. Dr. Sarah Wright, heading the Galactic Health Initiative, presented results that would have seemed impossible just 5 years earlier. We've eliminated 7 major diseases that affected multiple Council species. Life expectancy is increasing across all administered territories. Population growth is returning to healthy levels for the first time in centuries. The improvements weren't entirely altruistic. Healthy, productive populations serve human strategic interests. But the practical result was that life for most galactic inhabitants improved dramatically under human rule, even those who had initially opposed the conquest. Admiral Chun reviewed the 5-year strategic assessment with profound satisfaction. Humanity had not just survived the Council's attempt at permanent quarantine, They had used it as motivation to achieve something unprecedented in galactic history. Strategic objectives achieved across all parameters, she announced to the assembled senior staff. Human control is absolute throughout former council space. Resistance to human authority has effectively ceased. Economic productivity and technological development exceed all projections. Population stability is improving across all administered territories. General Harrison added the military assessment. Galactic security is absolute. No potential threats to human authority remain. Our military superiority is so overwhelming that the concept of rebellion has become meaningless. The transformation was complete. In less than 5 years, humanity had gone from a quarantined species to the undisputed rulers of galactic civilization. They had achieved total strategic dominance, not through sustained oppression or cultural destruction, but by proving that their approach to governance was simply more effective than the system they had replaced. Dr. Foster presented the final cultural assessment that would define humanity's legacy. Former council populations have adapted to human rule with remarkable ease. Many species report greater satisfaction with their current situation than they had under council authority. The transition from democracy to human governance has been surprisingly positive for most populations. The irony was perfect and complete. The council had quarantined humanity because they feared human violence, and unpredictability would destabilize galactic civilization. Instead, human conquest had created the most stable, prosperous, and efficient galactic government in recorded history. Commander Chun addressed the assembled representatives from all former council species during the inaugural ceremony establishing the new galactic human administration. The council saw our conflicts and divisions as evidence that humanity was unfit for galactic civilization. They failed to understand that those very conflicts prepared us to govern a galaxy better than they ever could. We didn't seek this war, Admiral Chin continued. We didn't choose conquest over peaceful coexistence. The council forced this conflict when they decided we were too dangerous to be allowed among the stars. They gave us a choice between permanent imprisonment and total victory. They should have known which option humanity would choose. The ceremony concluded with the raising of Earth's flag over the former council chambers. For the first time in galactic history, a single species held absolute authority over an entire galactic civilization. But unlike previous empires based on oppression and exploitation, human rule was based on efficiency, pragmatism, and the understanding that good governance served everyone's interests. High Counselor Vextherin, watching the ceremony from his quarters, transmitted his final assessment to the historical record. The humans were right about one thing. We should have known which option they would choose. A species that has spent its entire existence overcoming impossible odds was never going to accept permanent imprisonment. He paused, his crystalline form flickering with something that might have been respect. Perhaps the Council's greatest error was not in underestimating human military capability. Perhaps it was in underestimating their capacity for effective leadership. They govern us better than we govern ourselves. Admiral Chun stood alone on the observation deck as Terra Prime began its patrol of humanity's new galactic empire. The Council had banished humanity because they feared what humans might do to galactic civilization. They had been absolutely right to fear. Humanity had done exactly what the Council predicted. They had completely transformed galactic civilization. They just hadn't expected the transformation to be an improvement. The galaxy now belonged to humanity, and under human rule, it was more prosperous, more stable, and more free than it had ever been under the Council. The species that had been deemed too violent and chaotic for galactic membership had become the most effective galactic rulers in history. Humanity's answer to banishment was complete. Total domination had been achieved not through oppression, but through competence. The Council's greatest mistake had become the galaxy's greatest opportunity and humanity's greatest triumph.